it is a pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Karianne Grønli, postdoctoral researcher at the Norwegian Reading Center, University of Stavanger. And of course, your work, from what I've read, your abstract and bio that you shared with us, it examines what happens when children read aloud to a teacher, which is something that happens all the time, everyday moment in a classroom. And then you've just explained a little bit more closely that feedback that students receive in those interactions. And from what I understand, some teachers may give feedback and just correct how you pronounce, how you read it. Or you can also, while you give that feedback, make children feel really like, I'm a reader, who's the reader I'm becoming, how I'm going to enjoy this reading, whether I'm a multilingual learner struggling or a very good learner. So this is the kind of a thing. Without giving away too much on your keynote, can you just tell us what your message will be, how to reconsider feedback progress and what it means for that child to become a reader?
Yeah, I think, also, if I look back and put me in the situation as a teacher, in those situations, as you mentioned, there are a principle that has guided me in my work, is that with those, so when you meet so young students at first graders and second graders, we have to try to understand this situation from their perspective, which may be very different from an adult's perspective, what's going on in that situation. And I know, for me as a first grade teacher, I really wanted to help my students to succeed. And when, especially those who struggled, my answer to what I could do for them was to, when reading was difficult, I intensified the practice, and what we talked about, what was difficult, and what they found hard, what was we had all focus on. And I meant it as support, but for maybe the children, it will not feel that way. And as many teachers have seen, when we do that and when you struggle, the enthusiasm for reading is fading away after a while, when you have to work and work and work for something that's hard for you. So the question that stayed with me was, did my carefully correction communicate to them something about reading? Because what I was very focusing on was forming what they think reading really is about. And yeah, as you said, that and with good intention, we have focused on maybe some more narrow our feedback and our focus to those students who struggled. And we also see that in when we did the review and did look into all research, researchers are narrowing their focus for those students, and that also sends a message to the teachers that trying to get advice from the research again. So that was something that I have been thinking about, and then looking into how for the student, this situation, reading aloud to an adult, it's a really vulnerable act, because you have to reveal in real time what can you do and what are you not able to do. And it's happened so fast. The teacher have just maybe a few seconds to notice what's going on and to give this response. And it's a very short window that I wanted to study, to see these ordinary daily responses. Maybe many teachers don't even realize that it is feedback, but it is feedback that's really shaping what you think are the next step, what you think you can do. Can I be able to be a reader and be an active reader? That also my readers are very research are very into. How can we position in that situation? How can we position the student with our feedback so they are the active readers that have opportunities to go on? And
And I like the bit that you share about the active reader, because very often you said something very like that narrow window, and that we don't have that much time. So we teachers very often do, or probably even parents, we correct the way you pronounce, we correct the way you said that, and we forget to make the reader feel what it is to be a reader and be active. So I like that. So when you think about that, so I'm sure your research has shown what are the how can we better support teachers to give them how can teachers really support these students with skills without unintentionally, because they don't do that on purpose, so without unintentionally reducing the child's sense of agency or empowerment to read and to want to read. Yeah.
So what we have done is that we have made this checklist actually for supporting teachers in this situation, and what we, as you say, it's unintentional, because when we present those findings to teachers, they recognize it and they agree on it, that oh yeah, that's really important, but they know it, but they has to be reminded in a way. How can they balance this in another way? And when we made this checklist, we have tried to have examples of feedback that broaden the feedback practice and remind the teacher that they can notice different aspects of reading, both the technical aspects, but also noticing the opportunities for the student to correct themselves, to put into their own words what they like about the reading. That is also a very important aspect, because when we look into this, we see that the students that struggle with reading, they have less time to talk. The teacher talks a lot, the student talk less, but the regular groups with regular students, they get more opportunities to put into their own word what they like about reading, what story do they like to read. So it's just on this checklist reminders to the teacher. So also test if you can, in addition to the technical aspects, also support the students put into their own words, problem solving, their interests, what they like in reading, and so on. And what we see when we tested out the checklist is that teacher, they don't forget about the technical aspects. That is so important especially for struggling readers, that they have the help with letters and sounds and sounding out words. It's a really important thing. But in addition, we also give the space for the student to be active and control more of the situation in a way.
And this makes it more fun for the student as well.
Hopefully.
Especially those who struggle, especially those who read well in one language but cannot read well in another language.
Yeah.
That helps if the teachers do that. So when this year's conference in Rome, so it'll focus on building assessment literacy across systems of education. And what would you like those who listen to you, the teachers, researchers, assessment professionals, what would you like them to understand differently about this power of technical and the motivational component of the feedback after they listen to you? What would you like to take away?
I really hope that, of course, that is very familiar to also a lot of feedback researchers, but I want to invite teachers and researchers to think of this feedback that we provide as a kind of storytelling to the students. With the feedback, we tell the students, who are you as a reader? It's so powerful. It shapes their self-beliefs and what they think about what they can do next. So when you see it that way, you also see that you have to tell the story that make the students believe, I can do this. I can be a reader. Reading is something for me. So in a way, we have to be aware that the feedback we provide, it also should give an opportunity to the student to use it in a way to go forward and make it visible how they can be this active reader. And then these are very young students. They are only 6 years old, maybe but still they have to get the opportunity to put into their own words what they can do next after they have this story from their teacher. And also, I think it's another thing here is I hope this research can be an eye-opener to see that reading assessment has to be more than what is easy to observe and easy to measure, because there's so much that is important to become an active reader that is not easy to observe for the teacher. So we need tools that help the teacher to broaden what we assess and what we provide feedback on.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this very low-cost intervention, just a checklist with a very, very short introduction to the checklist at the start. The research shows again and again that it's helpful for the teacher, just as a reminder. So it's a new way that we can help teachers to work on their assessment literacy.
Yeah, and it's a very valuable and, as you say, low cost, especially in the digital age where more and more, some research say, and I hope that's not so true, that children read less and less. So we want them to read more and more. We want them to believe that when they read, they're good readers and they find that fun and engaging. And so that tool is really valuable. So thank you for giving us this thoughtful preview of what you're going to share with us in your keynote. And congratulations once again on receiving the Kathleen Tetzel New Assessment Researcher Award. And we look forward to hearing more about your research in the conference in Rome in November. So thank you very much, Karianne.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And sharing my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.